Hello, and welcome back to my quarantined Sean channel. Day 8 for me. Hope all you guys are doing safe and staying inside, because I know I am. And one thing I've been doing to kind of pass the time is editing some photos finally. Got out a little bit a couple weeks ago on a small hike and took a bunch of mediocre photos. So I'm going to go through some of those today and just kind of show you how I like to edit. So yeah, I went through these and already kind of rated the ones I found to be my favorite. They're all pretty shit, if you ask me. Like how bright that is. Like trying to expose for the sky made the landscape or the land part here really dark. And it might be a little fiddly, so we'll come back to that one if we run out of things to edit. This one is one I wanted to start with. I actually really like this photo because I was able to kind of crop out a lot of the sky here. I always mess with these settings first to try to get it into kind of a range. I want to warm it up just a little bit just to kind of get some of this warmth out of these stalks of flowers of some sort. Another thing I'm going to do is go ahead and boost this up just a little bit. And you'll see why I want to do that in a second. But basically, I'm trying to get a lot of the warmth and like the red tones out of the red sandstone in the background here. This is taken in Colorado. We have a lot of this like Dakota sandstone, which is nice and warm and vibrant. So I want to kind of get a little bit of that out. All right. So yeah, now that we've done that, got a little bit of the warmth out, I'm going to go ahead and brighten it up just a smidge. Now the key to making moody photos to me is taking out anything bright and happy. So I don't want to like push it too much and make it look like a nice sunny day, because that's not what we're going for. So I'm going to keep it relatively low, just bring up a little bit of that detail, and then we're going to maybe a little more. Yeah, that looks okay for me. Go ahead and boost the contrast. And I do a lot of this by sight. With my color grading, I always like check the scopes, and you have like a little bit of one up here, like a little histogram, and it usually does the trick. All right, highlights, we don't want them. Who needs them? Shadows, though, we're going to bring those up to bring some of that detail back. Because when you crush the highlights completely, it's inevitably you're going to hit the highlights as well. So we're going to pump those up just a wee bit. And another thing I like to do is kind of push it to the extreme and then pull back a little bit. You see that a lot with people's technique. It's kind of just a standard thing to do. Just get it into a range that you like, and that's about where I like it. Okay, so the shadows are looking good. I'm going to take down the whites too, because the sky here is looking a little too happy. So we're going to try to gray that out just a little bit. It's around somewhere like negative 80-ish, somewhere in there. And then the blacks we're going to also decrease just a little bit, just to make it punch a little bit more. So already quite the difference from before to after. Much darker, much more contrasty, and we're going to kind of fiddle with that a little bit more. I like to push a little bit of texture into it, especially with these kind of macro shots. I like to get some of that texture out of it, and just a smidge of clarity. If you go too high with this, it looks way over edited. I used to put all of my photos like full on clarity, and it just makes you look kind of like you don't know what you're doing. But just a little bit adds that extra little taste. So yeah, just see that little extra punch. Boom. Not going to do very much with that. And we got all that to where we like it. I'm going to put just a little bit of color vibrance just to pull a little more of that warmth out of this. Not too much though, because we don't want happy colors in our shot here. Another thing I'm going to do to kind of bring up some of these highlights, shadows, is pull up directly on that final thing and see how much detail you can get back. But when you do that, you tend to kind of wash out the image. So you want to put another point and just bring some of that darkness back. But this kind of creates that nice, like, vintagey, washed out look that is quite popular, especially with me. I do it almost every time. Again, I'm going to pull down the highlights just a little bit, trying to gray that out a little bit more. Add another one, but so you can pull up your mids. Don't want to crush those too much. So that's looking pretty solid to me so far. All right, yeah, maybe just a little bit more of a boost. There we go, that looks good. Okay, now we're gonna go down to the HSL. I usually just hit all. I like to see everything all at once, and I have a big enough screen to have the real estate open. How's my hair, by the way? Just got this haircut. My girlfriend and I cut it the other day because we were bored and needed haircuts, and kind of messed up a little bit on the sides here, but kind of just owning it. I don't know if my hair can really even do this, but let me know what you think. All right, so straight off, I'm gonna take out a little bit of that red. I know we're just trying to push it in there, but I'm gonna take it down just a smidge, just to kind of mute it a little bit. A lot of this is gonna have to do with muting a lot of the tone in the photo, just so it's not so HDR and saturated. I don't really like that look where everything pops like crazy. And we'll leave yellow alone probably. We'll take it down just a little bit. We'll match orange. Green we'll leave alone because there's really not a whole lot of green in here to begin with. Now I want to change, so this is way too blue for me. So I usually change the blue and aqua to kind of be more of a deeper tone, and you can kind of see that change happening at the top of the screen there. Now aqua is not quite what this is going to be affecting, but you'll see it once we change the blue here. See that? You can just like go crazy with it if you really wanted to, but we're not trying to go for crazy here. All right, so we're gonna park that kind of around there. Just kind of deepen it up. Now it's no longer just blue because it's too happy and we don't like happy here. All right, we don't really have a whole lot of purple, but I am gonna switch it to more of a magenta. And you can kind of see that happening up in the clouds here. You just like that little bit of color in there. So we're gonna add just a little bit and leave it alone. And nobody likes magenta, so we're gonna just leave that as is. Actually, false. I'm gonna make it slightly more red than purpley. All right, now onto saturation. Again, I'm gonna kind of bump down the red tone just a little bit. About 5 will do it. This part I don't really mess with a whole lot. But we do have this nice orange tone. I don't want it to be like too much, so I'm gonna pump that down. And already we're getting a way more moody thing just by bringing down a lot of the image color, which is overall very warm. So I'm gonna pull all that down. Probably leave all these. Again, we don't really have any green and aqua in this too much, but I am gonna go to blue and pull that down. Just to take a little bit of that blue out of the sky. Another way you can do that is click this little dude. I actually use this a lot, and you can just click on the tone and like change it like that. So you actually never have to look to the side and all your controls over here. So if you wanted to like pull more orange, you can just click the orange and pull up or down and get it kind of in that range. Or if I wanted to add a little more green or whatever, I can do that. Very effective way, very quick, because you just click around the screen instead of trying to like click on the little sliders. But for the sake of showing you kind of my numbers, I've been doing it on the side here. All right, red, let's boost that up, get a little more lightness in our shot here. It doesn't do a whole lot, but you can kind of see in the midtones here where most of that red sandstone is, what that is doing as I pull that across. So we're gonna park it around 55. Do the same thing with the orange, just kind of hit it where we like it. And because the most of our photo is orange, it's gonna have quite the effect. So yeah, we'll leave it right around there because I like that. It makes it pop a little bit more against the background. All right, and then again, we don't really have a whole lot of these, maybe a little bit in the yellow. Not gonna mess with that. I'm gonna bring the sky up just a little bit. Actually, no. Yeah, just a smidge. Just to lighten that back up a bit. All right, now this is where a lot of the fun for me happens, is in the highlights and the shadow split toning section. For this one, I want to go for kind of a very cool look. So I'm going to actually hit my shadows and highlights at the same range. So I'm actually going to put the highlights in the bluish zone. We're going to kind of mess with that in a sec. And I don't like to push it too high, but you want to push it far enough where you'll see the effect. And then you can kind of twiddle back and forth until you get a nice color that you like. I'm kind of liking it right in the 200 range. A little more on the dark blue purpley looks kind of nice too. Yeah, we're gonna leave it there. And then the shadows, this is where, so when I was adding all that magenta to the shot, because this is mostly shadows, it's gonna be seen in the shadows quite a bit. And because it's very red and orange. So when you boost that, you can actually go into this part of your editing process and go to like a greenish color and just bring that up just a little bit. And that'll kind of mute a lot of that magenta, but leaving just enough in there where you get your effect across. Go a little more in the blue-green. That's looking good. So yeah, now we have a nice like bluish green with the orange contrast that I quite like. And you can do a lot with this. So if you were to go like more bluey purple, obviously not that much saturation. Depends on what kind of tone you're going for. I'm kind of going for a cold, like early spring look. So we're gonna go back, yeah, in the 2000 or 200 range, and just kind of bring that up until it looks good. And that looks pretty solid to me. You know what? I'm actually liking a little more of a green tinge. And then the rest of this is all just kind of based off of how much your camera actually deals with sharpening, if you actually need it or not. Probably won't do anything with noise. And the last little bit is, I like to throw a little bit of a vignette. Lightroom is quite heavy with their vignetting, so you don't really need to go too far with it until you actually see the effect. And then just for aesthetics, I like to add a little more green back into it to make it look kind of like classic film. So this is before and after. Pretty big difference. This is much warmer, mostly because like the entire shot had a lot of warm tone in it. Well, there you go. I'm actually quite pleased with how this turned out. I don't think there's anything else I'd really change on it. Maybe that. Maybe darken up those shadows just a bit more so it's a little more moody. Gotta love the moody. So one thing I do is, so if you're posting this to Instagram, I usually go with the 4x7 or 4x5, sorry. But I'm actually gonna crop out more of that sky and just make it all this. So yeah, way more aesthetically pleasing. Well, it actually has a pretty good, I was gonna put a little gradient in from top to bottom and just kind of lighten the middle here. I don't really think it needs it. Maybe just like a little swipe. I don't know why the clarity is pumped all the way down. Let's reset that. And just bring up the highlights just a little bit in that little swipe that we made. Just to make those little guys pop a little bit more. I'm not exactly sure what plants these are, but I've taken photos of them quite a bit because I like the blue stock with the orange tops. It's kind of a cool gradient that these plants have. So if you know what they are, let me know, because I don't know, like I've said before. All right, so I chucked a hat on because my hair was looking ridiculous after looking at that edit. And I'm actually going to call the video right there. I don't want to push this too long and bore the crap out of you, but I will be doing more photo editing videos. So if you want to see me working on more videos from this shoot, be sure to check back very soon. I will have those up probably within the week. And let me know what you thought of my photos, and go ahead and check out my website, which I will plug right now. It is SeanIsn'tReal.com. Pretty cool. You get to see everything I do, and subscribe if you want to see more. And I love you, and we will see you in the next episode.